Even with 3 years left in Donald Trump's presidential term, the intense power struggle for the post-Trump era has already begun around the White House. This contest has accelerated in Munich, Germany. For a long time, Vice President J.D. Vance was considered the heir apparent for Donald Trump. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is rapidly moving into the center of power. Something significant is shifting within the White House. Marco Rubio, once a primary rival to Trump in 2016, has undergone a remarkable transformation. In Trump's second term, he is not only the United States Secretary of State, but also the acting National Security Advisor. These are two of Washington's most influential positions, giving Rubio a decisive voice on matters of war and peace. His speech at the Munich Security Conference in February was widely celebrated, even earning standing ovations. Donald Trump himself later praised Rubio publicly, suggesting that Rubio shouldn't improve further lest he become a competitor. Trump now frequently praises Rubio, highlighting his great job. This raises a critical question. Has Marco Rubio suddenly overtaken Vice President J.D. Vance in the race for Trump's succession? It once seemed Trump's legacy was settled with Vance, 41 years old, considered the crown prince of Trumpism, and a more extreme MAGA 2.0 variant. Trump himself had publicly stated Vance was most likely his successor. However, J.D. Vance currently faces a challenge. While formally the number 2, Marco Rubio is at the helm of foreign policy, spearheading diplomatic initiatives and coordinating crises across global hotspots like Venezuela, Iran, Ukraine, and Europe. His active role contrasts sharply with Vance's lower visibility, particularly regarding the conflict in Iran. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton noted Vance's very striking silence as a vice president would typically be at the forefront. The Trump universe often operates by the laws of show business. Whoever appears in the media exists. Rubio appears frequently, always with a dignified reserve. Conversely, those who do not appear become invisible and less interesting to Trump. Vance, unlike Rubio, champions a genuine MAGA isolationism, advocating less interventionism and a focus on domestic policies. Outwardly, both Vance and Rubio maintain an appearance of unity, publicly praising each other, yet observers note activity beyond these assurances. Rubio's associates have established America 2100, a political organization, while Vance, as finance chief of the Republican National Committee, has built crucial networks and raised funds. Classic moves for a presidential primary candidate. Trump, for his part, seems to relish this competition, reportedly asking his closest advisors playfully, J.D. or Marco. He recently described Vance as a fighter, while Rubio, he said, works with velvet gloves, but ultimately strikes just as lethally. Rubio, as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, carries immense responsibility, especially for unpopular wars. Every diplomatic success elevates his profile, but every crisis and failure could quickly become a political liability. The longer conflicts, like the Iran operation, last, and the more United States soldiers die, the worse a future candidacy will be for Rubio. Conversely, the more restrained J.D. Vance remains on such issues, the less vulnerable he will be in 2028, allowing him to focus on domestic issues. However, writing off J.D. Vance would be premature. In early surveys for the 2028 Republican primaries, Vance leads among supporters, securing 53%, while Rubio only garnered 7%. Vance's lead is substantial, likely due to his higher name recognition. The competition between Vance and Rubio will be increasingly scrutinized. One thing is certain, the Republican Party after Donald Trump will not be the same. Both represent a definitive departure from old Reagan conservatism, favoring more skepticism toward globalization, greater distance from Europe, and a distinctly more populist tone. What's your take on Trump's succession battle? Marco Rubio's surprising rise? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.